how do you motivate your team? So how do you motivate your team? How I motivate my team is by making sure, see, there are two ways to motivate someone. People will not feel motivated if they do not have skin in the game. So how the best way to motivate someone or inspire someone to do a great job is by uh, making them feel that they have skin in the game, right? So how do you make sure that your team has skin in the game? You make sure your team has skin in the game by uh, letting them take ownership of the estimation part, letting them take ownership of their user stories, making sure that they are the ones who write a proper definition to every user story that they are working on. That way they feel that they are more involved in the process. And sometimes what I do is I let some of my team members run the daily stand-up, which makes them more exciting, which makes it more exciting for them to join the daily scrum in that week or in that month. When they feel more excited to join the daily stand-up, they feel more involved in the process, they feel more involved in the project, they feel more involved in the work that they're trying to do, and they feel more motivated. When they have skin in the game, you don't need to pump them up. You don't need to show them motivated videos. You don't need to do all of those things. They will feel motivated themselves because they have skin in the game. It's their own personal liability now. Okay? That is how you motivate them. You give them ownership of the work. You give them ownership of their work. You make them involved with their deadlines. You make, okay, this is our deadline. This is what we need to do. Da, 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 da. You make them more involved. You make them more self-organized. The more self-organized they are, the more involved they are, the more motivated automatically they will be. That is how you motivate your team. You cannot motivate your team artificially with videos and things like that for long. You have to have their involvement in the process. You have to have them take ownership of the work that they're doing. The more ownership of the work that they're doing, the more self-organized they are, the more motivated they are. One other way you can motivate your team is by showing them progress. Show them the velocity chart. Show them whatever chart you can show where they are making progress. They're improving. They're improving, whether it's in the amount of story points they're producing or whether the working software they're building, they are improving in some way or shape. When they see improvement, they feel motivated to do more improvement, more improvement, more improvement. Show them improvement or give them ownership of the work. When they have skin in the game, they will feel motivated. When they see that they are making progress, they are helping the company make progress, they're improving together as a team, it will motivate them more. Okay, the next question is, how do you support already established team to move to the next level? So the first thing is that there is always room for improvement. No matter what level your team is, no matter if your team is at a level 10 of productivity, level 10 of everything, there is still room for improvement always. You have to find that room for improvement. How do you find that room for improvement is there can be a room. You bring this question up in the retrospective to your technical team. Let them answer this question. Hey, we are already very mature. We are doing great. Where can we improve? This is a question for your retrospective. Let the technical team answer this question. Okay, the way you can improve is by making the team more cross-functional, making sure that there is no the vertical slicing of stories is happening, making sure the estimation is good, making sure that there is no one single level of failure with a particular skill set, making sure that all people in the team know all the skills that they're working on, having pair programming exercises, all these things. There is always something to improve in a team. There is always something to do, in my experience. Okay, if there is nothing in the team to improve, something is not right. Okay, and this is more of a question for your technical team to answer during the retrospective. Let them come together and answer this question. How do we improve now? How do we get better now? Or yeah, that's how I would answer this question. So but there's how do you support already established team? So yeah, so that's how you would support them to the next level. Yes, let them answer this question. There's always something to improve. Make them more cross-functional, improve the estimation part. Something is always there to improve, and let them answer this question. Now, 17th question. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with the product owner. Yeah, sure. So in one of my projects, you know, so there are two ways to answer this question, right? This is how I would answer it. The first I would say is that, see, conflict is a very common scenario in some Scrum teams. But the way, in my personal experience, I have reduced conflict with my product owner or with my technical team is by having a working agreement. A working agreement is a super important thing. I keep saying this word working agreement, okay? You will be able to resolve 60 to 70% of your problems by just having a working verbal or written agreement with your team members, product owner, you name it. So, how you will answer this question is that, yes, in my case, what I have a habit of doing is that whenever I join a new team, I have a habit of having a working agreement with the product owner and with the Scrum team. The working agreement entails the expectations the product owner can have from me and I can have from the product owner, which makes our life easier going forward because it sets a baseline for the behavior and the conversations that happen in the future. That is how I solve resolve. That is how I reduce the amount of conflict that happens during the project. Now, if I'm jumping into a project and I do not have a working agreement and I run into a conflict, let's say, so the thing is that what first of all, what is the conflict? Let's say the conflict is scope creep. Let's say the conflict is not the problem or not letting you add technical debt to the sprint, right? There's a lot of technical debt and you're not handling technical debt. The product owner wants to keep on increasing velocity and keep on doing the work. In that case, what I have done is that, first of all, I need to understand where the product owner is coming from. Be empathetic. Be empathetic. No one is stupid. If they are bringing something to the team, they are bringing something to work, asking the team to work on something, whether it's scope or whether they're creating scope creep or whether they are not letting you work on the team work on technical debt. They're coming from a place. You have to understand what place they are coming from. You have to be empathetic. And then once you show empathy towards where they are coming from, you try to understand that. And if it's something that you can accommodate, once in a while, it's okay. But if it happens over and over, then you need to explain where you are coming from, what your process is like, how you do things, how things happen in this new process, the Scrum process. That's how you handle this conflict. Right? First of all, have a working agreement. If you don't have a working agreement and then conflict happens, then you have to understand where they're coming from. What's the conflict, first of all, whether it's scope creep or technical debt related? If it's those, you have to understand where they're coming from. Or if it's anything else also, you have to understand where the product owner is coming from. Why are you having a conflict with them in the first place? What are they thinking? What's on their mind? Be empathetic towards that. Once you show empathy towards them, then you try to show where you're coming from. What's the reason you topic should be given priority? Or what you're trying to implement should be given priority. Once you show empathy towards them first. So that is how I would handle conflict with the product owner. And most of the time, it'll be fine if you follow this process. That's how you answer this question. Okay. Now the next question is, tell me about a time you manage a third-party project and what challenges did you face? Yes, third-party projects, managing a third-party project. Yes, in my particular situation, when I manage a third-party project, the biggest challenge I face was a time difference. The teams, they were in a very different time zone than me, and I was in a different time zone. And so that was one of the biggest challenges we were facing. So that was a big barrier to our communication and the work we were doing. How I handled that is that basically by setting up a touch point every evening, which was morning for them, setting up a touch point which serves as kind of like a pseudo daily stand up where we come together and we share what we have done and what they have done so far. And we kind of made sure that we are on the same page with that. Once we had that touch point, then, I kind of picked my schedule a little bit and worked more towards the evening hours to make sure that we are working together and we are resolving impediments together and we are doing things that need to be done together for most of the time. That is how I managed, that is how I handled this challenge, by tweaking my schedule and working on their schedule and resolving this problem that way, because my presence was super critical in the project as a project manager and changing my schedule according to their schedule, right? That is how I managed a project where I faced third-party challenges. The other challenges you can say are the challenges with the third-party stakeholder, third-party product owner, and we resolve that by having a working agreement and things like that. Basic things, right? You can say those answers too if you want to. Now, What are some of the projects you have worked on in the past? So basically, what the interviewer is trying to assess in this scenario is trying to understand what's your experience been like, what kind of projects you have worked on, what's the variety of the projects you worked on. So in this, you will explain all the projects that you've worked on. So I worked on a internal Zoom application, Zoom-like application where, like in Zoom, we have a video conference and video calling. And we worked on an internal Zoom for one of my companies where we were building a Zoom-like tool for the internal teams, where the internal teams could connect with each other and kind of interact with each other without depending on any external tools to do that. That's one of the projects I've worked on. Other projects I've worked on is a financial tool where where we were integrating a digital wallet in a financial platform, whatever platform you have worked on, where we were integrating a financial digital wallet into that platform, and we were making sure that the bugs that are coming in are being handled properly, or any other technical difficulties that digital wallet integration faces. I was responsible for making sure that I was responsible for managing the teams that were making sure that those problems don't happen. The other projects that I've worked on is a real estate app, where we were building a real estate platform for our customer, like Zillow, like Redfin, something similar to that, and that we have done so far. Some of the projects that you've worked on, you can name in this, and and you can, once you name the project, then you have to say that I've also done in those projects. What I was doing was I was basically making sure, working as a Scrum Master, and making sure that the Scrum process is being followed, the team is meeting their sprint goals, and there are no impediments, there are no blockers. I was also acting as a bridge between the communication between the technical team and the stakeholders, and between the technical team and the product owner, and making sure that the estimation process is being done right, and the velocity is increasing, and the team is becoming more productive over time, and the turnover is less. So those were some of the, when I say turnover, I mean less employees are leaving the team. So those are the things that I have done in the projects in my past. That is how you will answer this question. Now, just tell us about your role in your last project. So, this is a repetitive question, but I'll still repeat it again because it's a very important question. So, in my last project, what my role was basically to make sure, once the product owner has collected all the requirements from the stakeholder, my role was, along with the technical team, facilitate a meeting where we break down those epics that the product owner has collected from the stakeholders, to break down those epics into technical user stories with proper definition and proper acceptance criteria. Once we have that, then if we also did proper estimation and prioritization of those user stories for the sprint. Then we would have our sprint planning session, which I would facilitate. We would enter those user stories in that sprint and define the sprint goal. Once we have a properly defined sprint goal, we would have our daily stand-up, which I would facilitate every day, and I would ask 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What are you working on today? Any impediments you're facing, right? And then once we have the daily scrum, then we would have our sprint demos towards the end of the sprint, where we would collect feedback from the stakeholders. If there is any disagreement or anything like that, make sure we collect that and make sure that those things are into the backlog. Once we have that, then the last thing is sprint retrospective, where I would sit down with the team members and kind of go over what we did well, what we didn't do so well, what we could improve on, and who is responsible for making those improvements. And not only that, I was also responsible for improving the impediments and the blockers the team might be facing. And other things that I did in the team were making sure that we are good with our sprint goals. We are managing our technical debt safely. We are creating our sprint reports for the stakeholders. We are improving our velocity. Employees are feeling safe. There is less conflict within the team. Those are the things I did for my previous project as a Scrum Master. That ends our 20-question Scrum Master interview question series. And these were some of the questions that were given to me by one of my favorite students in my mentorship program. If you are looking for a Scrum Master job and you want to be part of a community of fellow Scrum Masters or people who are looking for Scrum Master jobs or working hard to get a Scrum Master job, if you want to be part of this community, click on the link down below. I am the only person that can help you out. Click on the link down below. Let's get you started and let's get you a Scrum Master job. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Adios, amigos.